doing? Do you have any candy? I particularly like candy. Candy? Well, no. I mean, I'm kind of the Easter Bunny, but I'm not really. Oh, hi guys. How's it going? You gotta field test your toys, right? So anyway, I figured today we'd make a dinosaur, and that was a sort of a suggestion from one of our subscribers, and I thought it was a super awesome idea. So it took a little bit of thinking, and I finally came up with something that I think should be pretty easy to make. It's made in pieces, and none of the pieces are all that difficult. So I'm going to go really, really slowly today. I'm going to tell you what you need to have in order to do this particular project, and we'll just stitch it up together. And let's just jump right into it. Okay. So to make Periwinkle, you're going to need a few extra tools than you normally do when you make some of my other tutorials, and I've got them all here. First of all, you're going to need a main color. So I'm going to make today's in orange. You need his spike color, and I'm going to use pink as the offset for today. You're going to need a couple of buttons because he's jointed, so he actually has movable legs. And the buttons, I'm going to use a couple of orange ones myself, but I've got two sets out. Just because I haven't decided when I actually get to the point where I'm putting his legs on, I'm going to hold up a bigger button and a smaller button and decide which one I like. So it's nice to have some choices available to you. You're going to need a color of yarn to make his little cheeks. And I mean just like a scrap amount, you don't need very much at all. And a little bit for his mouth, and I'm probably going to use the same pink because he's going to be kind of a brighter colored dragon or dinosaur. You're going to need eyes, so you want a couple of beads for his eyes. And to put them together, I'm going to use my usual favorite hook. It's a 4.25 millimeter or a G6. That's what I'm going to use do the bulk of his work with, and I'm using a worsted weight yarn, so when I go to finally stuff him, there won't be any holes on him. To do his spine, I'm going to use a slightly smaller hook. This one is a 3.75 millimeter or an F5. I'm also going to do his cheeks with a smaller hook. You're going to need embroidery floss. So I've got a couple out here. I think I'm going to use orange when I put on his when I do mine today. But we need embroidery floss to attach his buttons or his little joints. And in order to do that, you're going to need a long tapestry needle. So this tapestry needle has a big eye, and you can thread embroidery floss through it, and it's really long. And the reason you need a long one is because you're actually going to sew right through the body, so through both legs and through the body, and that's what's going to create this nice jointed effect. You're also going to need a regular yarn needle, and you're going to need a needle and thread to put the eyes on if you have a smaller bead hole. My beads are have a slightly larger hole, so I might actually just be able to do it using the same embroidery needle. But I've got a shorter embroidery needle, so I'm just for the simplicity of putting on his eyes, I'm going to use a smaller one. But that's neither here nor there. So that's what you need. We're going to make him in pieces. So we're going to do the head first, then we're going to do the body, then we're going to do the legs, we're going to do the arms, we're going to do his tail, we're going to do his neck, we're going to sew them all together as we go. We'll do his spines last, and then we put on his little cheeks and his smile. So he's just basically built in a modular fashion, sort of like some of the other tutorials we've done. And then he'll be finished. So we're going to move nice and slow. Don't be intimidated by him. He might look complicated, but he's not. He's actually pretty simple. Okay, so let's start with the head. I'm going to refer to my notes here. So you're going to start with your main color and your main hook, and you're going to do a cinch circle. So you're going to wrap your yarn around your fingers, take your hook, go through that hole, and grab the yarn, pull it back, and then you're going to chain one. So you're going to wrap your yarn around your hook and pull it through that little hole there. And that creates a cinch circle. Into this circle, we're going to single crochet 6. So we go through, grab your yarn, wrap, go through both loops on the hook. That's 1. That's 2. 3. 4. If you want to cinch your circle shut just to make it a little manageable, go ahead. I like to work over my tail. Number 5 and number 6. So, got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cinch your circle shut, and we're going to do the head in the round. So we're not joining rows, we're just going to keep single crocheting all the way around. Row 1 was 6 stitches. We're going to move from 6 stitches to 9 stitches, and we do that by increasing 2 in the first stitch, and then 1, and then 2, and then 1, and then 2, and then 1. So into this first stitch, we're going to single crochet 2. So there's 1. And we're going to do a second one into the same stitch. That's 1, 2. 1 into the next stitch. That's 3. 2 into the next stitch. 1, 2. 1 into the next stitch. 1. 2 into the next stitch. 1, 2, and 1 into the last stitch of the first row. That equals 9. Third row, we go from 9 stitches to 12. So we kind of keep the same pattern. We go 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1 all the way around. So 2 into the first stitch. 1, 2. A single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. That's 4. 2 into the next stitch. 1 single, 2 singles. 1 into the each of the next 2. 1 single, 1 single. So we're at 8. 2 into the next stitch. 1, 2, and 1 each into the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. All right. From 12, we're going to increase to 15. So same pattern. 2 into the next stitch. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 into the next stitch. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And one more set of 5. 2 into the next stitch. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right. Now, next row, we're going to move from 15 to 18. So same pattern. A little tail, leave that in. It goes 2, 1, 1, 1, 1 for a baseline of 6. You do that 3 times, you have 18. So we go 2 into the next stitch. 1, 2, and then 1 into each of the next 4. 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 into the next stitch. 1, 2, that brings us up to 8, and then 1 into each of the next 4. 9, 10, 11, 12. And one more set of 6. 2 into the next stitch. 1, 2, and then 1 into each of the next 4. 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's 18. Okay. One more row of increase. We're going to move from 18 to 21. So it's a baseline of 7. You do 2 into the next stitch, and then 1 into each of the next 5. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 into the next stitch. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 2 into the next stitch. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So that's it for increasing. Now we're going to go around just single crochet into each stitch all the way around for 3 successive rows. And if you want to do that thing that I do in my other tutorials, you look at the front of the nose cone of your egg shape that you're making, identify your first row, which is that first circle, and then see where it turns into the second, so where it branches into the second row. That's your starting point. So if you take a straight line from that starting point up to the edge of your current row, you're going to see that you've got a few extra stitches to add in order to bring it up even. So I'm just going to do that right now. You could also just continue crocheting for 3 rows and then finish it at the end. But I'm going to start in an alignment with my starting point. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 extra stitches. So I'm just going to do that now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that brings me up to an alignment. So now I have a nice even cone. I'm going to do 3 more rows all the way around, or since each row is 21 stitches, multiply that by 3, you have 63 stitches. So if you just single crochet 63 times, that should bring you right back up to the starting point. So let's do that, and then we'll start our decreasing. 1, 2, 61, 62, 63. And I'll just double check that I'm in alignment. I'll do an extra one. Yeah, there, good. All right, now you've finished. You should have, how many rows? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we've made 9 rows, and now we're going to start to decrease. So this is the back of the skull of your dinosaur. You're going to single crochet 2 together, and then single crochet into each of the next 2. So it's going to be a baseline of 3 essentially. So a single crochet 2 together looks like this. You insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, insert your hook into the following stitch, pull up a loop, wrap your yarn around your hook, pull it through all 3 loops. You've just single crocheted 2 together. Now that counts as 1 stitch. You single crochet once into each of the next 2 stitches, and then you do it again. You insert a hook, bring up a loop, insert your hook into the next stitch, bring up a loop, wrap your yarn around your hook, pull through all 3. That's 2 together equals 1 stitch. Single crochet into each of the next 2. 1, 2, and we'll single crochet 2 together again. 1 into each of the next 2. We'll single crochet 2 together, insert your hook, bring up the loop, insert your hook, bring up the loop, wrap your yarn, go through all 3, 1 into each of the next 2 stitches. We'll single crochet 2 together again. Single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. And that brings us pretty much right back to the start. And you can see that, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but when you get used to your own stitches, you'll be able to tell where you've single crochet 2 together, because one stitch will look like it's sort of sitting on top of the other one from the previous row. There's no real fine science to this. I'm not counting anymore. I'm just evenly decreasing. So the next decrease row is going to be single crochet 2 together, and then single crochet 1. So we'll single crochet 2 together and single crochet 1 into the next stitch, single crochet 2 together, and single crochet 1, single crochet 2 together, single crochet 1, single crochet 2 together, single crochet 1, oops, and single crochet 2 together, and single crochet into the next one. Okay, now is the time when you stuff your head, and I forgot to mention that you need to have a bag of stuffing around. I happen to have mine over here, so if you need to pause the video to go get yourself some stuffing, go right ahead. You're just going to take a little bit of stuffing, and you're just going to stuff it into the head of your dinosaur. Kind of firm, not super firm. It doesn't have to be like rock hard, but you want it to be able to not get crushed or easily squished. So... and maybe a little bit more. There we go. All right, now on the final, this is the second last row, we're going to single crochet 2 together all the way around. And that's just to cinch the hole shut a little more. So we'll single crochet 2 together, single crochet 2 together. Try to keep a finger on your stuffing so that it doesn't want to pop out the back. And just before you get to the end of this row, you might want to put a little bit more on the back end of it. I'm going to do 1 more single crochet 2 together. There we go. Yep, a little bit more. Use your baby finger. Stuff, stuff, stuff. All right. Now, the cinch shut row. I like to do this by slip stitching into the post of the previous stitch. So not the stitch, but the post. And this sort of cinches 2 stitches together at the same time. So you insert your hook through the post, just wrap your yarn and pull it right back through everything. And this creates kind of a nice flat row of slip stitching. Plus it helps close off the little holes so that you don't end up with any stuffing peeking out. There we go. And always pause to look at your work, see if there's any other holes. That looks pretty cinched to me. I think I'll do one more. And I will cut myself a decent length of string, and I'll weave it in the back just to cinch up any extra little holes that might be there. So cut yourself maybe, what is that, 5 inches or so. Fasten off. Get your yarn needle that Periwinkle's sitting on, and you're just going to pick up some stitches around your closing hole there, and just weave it in around. And this just neatens up your work, flattens up the back end of the head, closes in any little holes so no stuffing will escape. And you also don't want to see your stuffing. I know sometimes if you're decreasing you can get kind of tight with your stitches, and that's understandable. I mean, it's tricky decreasing. And so, you know, because you've got tight stitches, sometimes that tends to pull the stitches together a little tighter, and you end up with sort of little gapey holes. So just weaving in your back string like this kind of helps neaten all that up. So I'm going to do one more. And then I'm just going to bury it into the back of the head. There we go. Okay. There you have it. One dinosaur head. You can sort of see it. I mean, obviously, it could also be an egg or a pine cone, but for our purposes today, it's going to be the head of a dinosaur. And don't worry, we're going to put the face on last, because it's just easy to sort of have them sitting in front of you when you decide where you're going to put your face. But one of the ways that it becomes more of a head is when you put your eyes on, you're going to sort of pinch them together as you're sewing, and it's actually going to create more of a head brow shape for you. But we'll get to that. So just put your head to the side. Now we're going to make a body. And I'm going to flip my notes. And the body is pretty much a big version of the head. So you're going to create a cinched circle, and into this cinched circle, so once you get your cinched circle done, into this cinched circle, just like the head, you're going to start with 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and cinch it shut a little bit. 4, 5, and 6, and cinch your circle shut. Now, unlike the head, we're actually going to create more of a base for the neck. So instead of going from 6 to 9 stitches, we're actually going to double it. We're going to go from 6 to 12. So that's 2 single crochet into each of those 6 stitches from the previous, or from the first row we did. So we'll go right into the next stitch. 1, 2, 2 into the next stitch, 3, 4, 2 into the next stitch, 5, 6, 2 into the next, 7, 8, 2 into the next, 9, 10, and 2 into the last stitch. 11, 12. All right, that was the end of row 2. Now we're going to start to increase sort of more gradually. So we're going to go from 12 to 16 stitches, and to do that we go 2 into the first stitch, and then 1, 1, and you're going to do that 4 times. So, or I'm sorry, 2, 1, 1, 4 times. That's 4 stitches times 4 equals 16. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 2 into the next stitch. 5, 6, 7, and 8. 2 into the next stitch, 9, 10, 11, and 12, and the last set of 4, 2 into the next stitch, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Now you can see that that has already started to pull it down into a bit of an egg shape, but it's bigger than the head. So from 16, we're going to go to 20. So now you're going to do, it's instead of a baseline of 4, it's a baseline of 5, obviously, because 4 times 5 is 20. So you're going to go 2 into the next stitch, and then single, 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 2, single, 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 all the way around till you have 20. And the best way to do that is just to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2 into the next stitch, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2 into the next stitch, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And our last set of 5, 2 into the next stitch, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Right, it's the end of that row. Now, from 20, we're going to move to 24. 24 stitches. So 24 divided by 4 is 6. So your next base is a set of 6. You're going to go 2 single crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 into each of the next 4. 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24. All the way around, that gives you 24 stitches. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and another 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Another set of 2, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And our last set, 2 into the next stitch, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. All right, that equals 24 stitches all the way around. That's the most of, that's the last increase what we're going to do. Now we're just going to single crochet all the way around for 6 solid rows. So if you want to count, 6 times 24 and then do that counting in your head, you can, or you can do what I like to do. So identify where your start point is, draw a straight line up to your current row, 1, 2, 3, 4. Single crochet up to that point, 1, 2, 3, 4. Count your rows. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. So I want to crochet all the way around for another 6 consecutive rows, which by the point in time that I get back to, if I keep going around and checking my start point, then by the time I've done 6 consecutive rows, I should be able to count 11 rows all the way down from this point all the way down. And then I'll know that I've done my 6 rows. So you can count, or you can just start crocheting and make sure you pause every once in a while to take a break and count your rows. And once you've got all those done, then we'll start decreasing again. Okay, just about done here. Gonna double check. There's my start point. So 1 more stitch and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, 11 rows. Perfect. Now we're going to start to decrease, and the decreasing is much like with the head. We're going to single crochet 2 together and then single crochet once into each of the next 2 stitches all the way around. So we'll go 1 decrease, so that's 2 together, 1 and 1, single crochet 2 together, 1 and 1, and 2 together, 1 and 1, and single crochet 2 together, and single into the next, and single into the next, and single crochet 2 together, and 1 and 1, and single crochet 2 together, and 1 and 1, and that brings us right back to the start. So that's pulling into an egg. Now we're going to single crochet 2 together and then single crochet once into the next stitch all the way around. So 1 decrease, 1 single, 1 decrease, 1 single, 1 decrease, 1 single, and another decrease, and a single, and 1 decrease, and 1 single, and I think that just about pulled me back to the beginning. I'll do one more decrease. This isn't a fine science at the end here, guys. The whole point being is that you just want to sharply decrease so that you get sort of an egg shape happening. Now, this is where we pause and we stuff the body. And you want to make the body stiff-ish. I mean, obviously you want it to sit up, but the nice thing about this design is that he's kind of a tripod. He's got a tail and he's got 2 gigantic feet along with a big fat bum. So he's going to sit upright pretty easily, but it's still nice to have like a nice firm body shape. And if you can kind of overstuff this too if you want, because it'll just make him look a bit more fat and pot-bellied, which is always fine, especially when we're making little toys. All right, I think that's enough. Now I'm going to single crochet 2 together all the way around, just like we did with the head. And I'm going to keep a finger tucking in my stuffing if I can. So here we go. There's 2 together. And 2 together. And 2 together. And just take your time doing this. It's a bit tricky when you're trying to single crochet shut a hole on something that's stuffed. So don't get frustrated. Just take your time. If you have to pause the video, go ahead and do that. No one's rushing off without you. There we go. And I think I'll do one more. And I'm going to add a little more stuffing. Oops, come here you. I think. Oh, maybe not. No, you know what? I'm not going to add any more stuffing because I want him to sort of have a flat bottom. So for the last row, I'm going to do that thing I do with the head and every other little round bits I do. I'm going to slip stitch through the post of the single crochets in the row before. So instead of the stitch, I'm using the post, And this kind of sort of cinches 2 more stitches together. It closes those holes. You don't have any stuffing wanting to fall out. And also makes for like a nice flat bottom. And same thing we did with the head. I'm going to fasten off with a longish tail. So maybe 4 or 5 inches. Fasten off. Get that nice and tight. Grab your yarn needle and do the same thing. So weave it in so that it kind of cinches up any little holes you might have. And it just makes it nice and flat. And I'm just going to pick up stitches all the way around here. Just weave in the last little bit of tail here. There we go. There. Okay. So there's the body. Where'd my head go? So obviously, when we get the neck on, it's going to sit sort of like this. But we'll get to that. So head and body goes to the side. Now we're going to make some legs. Now, this leg, as you can see here, is made in one piece. So I know it looks a little complicated, and for all my beginners out there, don't get too panicky. It's not as difficult as it looks, and once you've got it finished, you'll also know how to make socks, because it uses sort of the same concept. So you know what, let's just jump into it. I'm not even going to explain it any further than that. So same thing, main body color, main body hook. We're going to start with a cinch circle. So just like the head and the body, you make your cinch circle, and you're going to put 6 single crochet into that cinch circle. Nice and easy, just like everything else is started with. There's 3, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. Cinch it shut, and from 6 we're going to go to 9. So it's your sort of your basic increase. So 2 single crochet into the next stitch. 1, 2, 1 single into the next. 1, 2 singles into the next stitch. 4, 5, 1 single into the next stitch. 6, 2 singles into the next stitch. 7, 8, and 1 into the next. And that gives you 9. From 9, we're going to move to 12, and that's the only, so we're only going to do 3 increased rows, so 6 to 9 to 12. And 12 is 2 single crochets into the next stitch, 1 into each of the next 2, 3, 4, 2 single crochets into the next stitch, 5, 6, 1 into the next 2, 7, 8, and 2 into the next stitch, 9, 10, and 1 single into each of the next 2, 11, and 12. Now, I'm going to do that thing. We'll identify where our starting point is. I'm only going to have to, looks like, single crochet maybe 2 more. And that brings me back up to my start point so that I'm nice and even all the way around. From this point, you're going to single crochet for 3 rows, just straight all the way around. So that's 63 stitches if you're counting, or just 3 rows from the 3 extra rows, so you'll be 6 rows down when you're done. And off we go. All right. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so that's 6 rows, 3 increased rows, and 3 rows of single crochet straight. Now here's where it gets funky. I need you all to pay close attention. You've come up, hopefully, to the starting point of your spiral. So this is where you started. So if you finish your single crochets on a direct line from that spiral point, that means you've got 6 even rows. You're going to single crochet 2 more past this point. So 1 into the next stitch and 1 into the next stitch. Now, you're going to use these 4 stitches, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So just the 4, the most recent 4 stitches. You're going to single crochet back and forth across these 4 stitches for 2 more rows, in effect creating a heel. So you're going to chain 1, flip your work around. Okay, so now you're looking at it backwards. You're going to single crochet into the next 4 stitches, just 1 into each. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, you're going to chain 1. You're going to flip your work back. So now you're looking at the right side of it again. You're going to single crochet back through those 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to chain 1, and this is where the magic happens. So I want you to hold your little booty so that you've got what's going to be eventually the thigh, but you're going to hold the round part in your non-hooking hand. You're going to identify that nice flat piece that you just made, which is 4 stitches wide by 3 stitches high, or 3 rows high. You're going to fold it in half. So I'm going to show you that again. This is the right side of your fabric, so the outside of the leg. You're going to take that flat rectangle, fold it in half so that the edges come together. You're going to take your hook. So now if you want to hold it this way, it's going to look like you've pinched it backwards on an open hole. You're just going to slip stitch through. So let me show you that. You've inserted your hook through one corner and you've brought it out through the stitch on the opposite corner, and you're going to slip stitch. So you wrap your yarn and just pull it right back through everything. And then you're going to work one more slip stitch through the ends, the 2 other stitches. Now it's a bit tricky, it's a little weird. Just do your best to stick your hook in there and slip stitch all the way back. Now, once you've done that, you're going to chain 1 and make your loop nice and big, put your hook down. And you're going to flip this back right side out. So it's going to look like this. Now, I hope you guys can start to see how this looks like a slipper or a bootie. It's the basic concept of a toe back sock. So once you get comfortable with this concept, you can even make yourself some slippers around the house. Except that we're going to invert it so that this is going to be the thigh and this is going to be his heel, and then that's going to be his foot. But we'll get to that. So you've created your heel. You've turned it right back side out. So this you won't even notice because it's all in one color, but you've created your seam on the inside of your foot. Put your hook back in your loop. Now, we're going to continue single crocheting all the way around. So we're going to keep going in the same regular direction. We're going to pick up 2 stitches across this side of the heel. So you're just going to single crochet, stick your hook in anywhere you can, and pull up a loop and create a single crochet, and do the same thing one more time across that side of the heel. There you go. Now, you're going to single crochet into each stitch around the regular side of this foot. So not this one where you've got sort of a corner stitch. You're going to skip this one. You're going to go into the next one. And you're going to count. So that was 2 new stitches. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 should bring you back to the stitch just before the next corner. You're going to pick up 2 stitches in here and 1 stitch in the back middle. So we're at 10. We're going to pick up 11, 12, and 1 more. Just stick your hook in anywhere it'll fit. 13. And then you're going to identify the first stitch that you created. So it might be a little bit of a stretch, but you can do it. And now you're just going to continue single crocheting all the way around for, 3 rows or 4 rows? Another 3 rows, I think. But we'll count. So here we go. Single crochet all the way around that opening. And I think it's more than 3 rows. What we're going to end up with is 13 rows from the top of the toe or the top of the thigh down to what's going to become the foot edge. So just keep crocheting around and around. You know what, I should probably count that so you guys have an idea of how many rows that's going to be. Let me see here. If this is top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 6 from 13 is what, 7? So you need 7 more rows. Alright, I'll just keep going around and around. Okay, so let me just count my rows. So here's my first row, it's the round ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I want 1 more row so that I have 13 rows. I want 13 rows from the point of the toe if I count down across the top of what looks like this little sock here. So now, if I come back to the middle and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have 13 rows. Now, because this is going to become the foot, I want to even it out. So I'm going to single crochet to the side. So I'm going to put in another 3 single crochets, and I'll explain that again. What's going to happen, so this is your top, right? Your top is going to get squished and become the thigh. This is the heel of your foot, and then your foot is actually going to get spread out and squished, and we're going to put the toes on. So you want to make sure that these 2 lines, like your 2 sides, are nice and equal, right? You can stretch it a little bit, take a look at it. So you want to single crochet your 13th row. Instead of ending at the back middle, you want it to end at the side. And before you do anything more, you're going to stuff your foot. So get some stuffing. You don't want too much stuffing. because you want to be able to sew a button on, and you want it to be able to be sort of squishy up here. But you know, just enough that it's fat, cute foot. Okay, I think that's enough. All right. Now for the fun part. This is how we put on the toes, and it's a little weird. So I'm going to go really, really slowly, and I'm going to have a sip of water before I start. Okay. You have completed 13 rows from the top to the bottom. You've brought your single crochet around to the far edge where you're going to start your toes from. We're going to put 3 toes on the edge of this foot, and we're going to do that by chaining 1. Then you're going to double crochet through these 2 end stitches. So you wrap your yarn around your hook, you take your hook and insert it through the first stitch and then the back stitch, so that it looks like you've gone through the very edge of your toe. Wrap your yarn around your hook, pull it back through those 2 stitches so that you have 3 loops on your hook. Wrap, go through the first 2 loops, wrap, go through the last 2 loops. Into those same 2 stitches, you're going to slip stitch, and you've just created a toe. So I needed a water break. Okay, so we've just completed the first toe. Into the next 2 stitches, you're going to slip stitch. So you insert your hook through both sides of the foot, wrap your yarn, and pull it back through everything. Now, we've reached the center point of the foot. You should have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches left across the front and an equal number across the back. Into these next 2 stitches, we're going to work the middle toe. So you're going to slip stitch through the first set. You're going to double crochet into that same set of 2 stitches. So wrap your yarn, insert your hook, it's a bit tricky, through both of the same 2 stitches you just slip stitched into. Grab your yarn and pull it back. So you have 3 loops on your hook. Wrap and go through 2. And wrap and go through the last 2. Into the next set of 2 stitches, you're going to double crochet again. So you wrap your yarn, go through both those stitches, so you have both sides of the foot on your hook. Wrap your yarn, pull it back. You have 3 loops on your hook. Wrap and go through 2. Wrap and go through 2. You're going to slip stitch into the same set of 2 stitches. So let's just grab the yarn and pull it back. And there's the middle toe. You're going to slip stitch into the next set of 2 stitches. And then you're going to slip stitch into the last set. So you just slip stitch through that set. We're going to double crochet twice into that same set of stitches. So you wrap, put your hook through, grab your yarn and pull it back. So you've got your 3 loops. Wrap, go through 2, wrap, and go through the last 2. You're going to double crochet into that same stitch again. So it's through those same 2 stitches. So you're doing quite a lot into this last set. So you finish your double crochet. And then to finish it off, we're going to slip stitch again into that same set of 2. So by this point, it'll be like a little hole. Your hook should be able to find it pretty easily. And that is the 3rd toe. Chain 1, cut your yarn. Doesn't have to be a long tail. Just fasten off, pull it tight, and there you have it. 1 foot. You're going to take your yarn needle and just weave that tail through the bottom stitches of your foot. And I always like to weave it back through just to sort of lock it in place. There we go. And there you have it. That is the dinosaur's leg and foot. Now, you need to go ahead and make a second one of these. I've already made my second one, so I've got my 2 feet. And I'm going to attach them to the body at this point. So you're going to hold the body in front of you, and you're going to decide, it's just so cute. You're going to decide where you want your feet, and you're going to decide on the size of your buttons. Actually, during the last little break I took, I figured I was going to use the smaller ones because I think that just looks a little neater to me. And I'm going to cut a length of embroidery floss. I went for this nice soft orange. So I've cut myself a length of embroidery floss, and here's where I'm going to use that long upholstery needle. I'm going to thread it up, and I'm going to start with one of the feet. I'm going to attach the string on the inside of the thigh, and I'm going to do that by just sort of tying a knot. So I'm going to knot my thread around one of the stitches, one of the little crocheted stitches. The only reason I'm doing this is because I feel that it kind of anchors it a bit better. Plus, you're not going to see this knot because this is going to be on the inside of the foot. So let me just get a second knot going here. There we go. Oops. Come on. There we go. Voila. All right. And stick it back out the other side. Okay. So this is the side that I'm going to put my button on. So I'm going to thread my button down. Now I want my button to sort of sit on the top part of my thigh, because when it's jointed and moving around, I want there to be like a little bit of thigh around it. So that's pretty much exactly where I want it to be. And just to anchor it, I'm just going to sew it down once. There we go. Okay. Now, this is where this long needle comes in handy. I'm going to line it up, pardon me, on my body, right about the middle. I'm going to put it right through to the other side. I have to squish it a bit. I might have to. Okay, comes out. Now you want it to come out the other side, roughly the same, on the same angle as the other leg, because you want this to be as even as possible. Stick it right through the other side of the other leg, thread on the other button, and do the same thing. Make sure it's sort of sitting about where I want it to. And this takes a little bit of fiddling, so if it feels a bit funny, it's okay. All right. And I'm going to sew right back through. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to sew it to the one side of the leg first. Then, this takes a little bit of fiddling, but don't worry, it doesn't have to be perfect. All right, now I'm going to go through it right through the middle. Get out of there. Okay. So if I sit and look at it, this looks pretty even to me. So now I'm going to hold it somewhat flat, and I'm going to go all the way through the body. I'm going to look for it to come out about where I want it to. I'm going to squish my leg together so that it comes out one of my buttonholes. And I'm not gonna hold it too tight because I don't want the body to get too squished. Then I'm gonna go back and forth through the buttons all the way through the leg and the body, out the other leg and out the other side of one of the buttons. I'm gonna go back and forth a couple times just to make sure that those limbs are on there nice and solid. This is a little tricky, but just take your time, you'll get it. There we go. Now you can probably see why it's good to have one of these long needles. And I got this needle in a package of basic upholstery needles at like the dollar store. They've got stuff like that in the craft section. So, and once you've gone back and forth through the legs a couple times and you looks like you've got enough to keep your buttons and your legs on your body, I'm going to do this one more. Try and go at the bottom. There we go. There we go. I'm just going to go through the one leg out the inside, and I'm just going to knot it back here on the back side of the thigh. And once I've done a couple knots in there, I'm going to just weave it in to a few of the stitches so I hide it a bit. And then I'm going to stick it back inside the body. And I'll probably go out the bottom. Try not to stick yourself. Don't want to have blood on your toy. And I'm just going to bury this in a few more of the stitches down here. And that's enough. I'm going to snip that off. Good. All right. And there you have jointed feet. Now the poor little guy needs a neck. So next thing we're going to do is build a neck to attach our head to so that we can attach it to the body. And the neck's very, very simple little kind of tunnel that we're going to make. So we'll put our needle off to the side. And I guess we'll put our body off to the side too. So you grab your regular hook, grab your regular body yarn, and in order to make the neck, instead of a cinch circle, we're just going to start by chaining 6. So you make yourself your little slip knot. So you make your slip knot, chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you've chained 6. Now, don't twist it. What you're going to do is you're going to fold it around to make a circle, and you're going to single crochet all the way around. So you're going to insert your hook in the first chain, and you're going to single crochet, and you're going to single crochet into each of those 6 chains all the way around. So that's 2. That's 3. Try not to twist it. It's a little tricky, but take your time. 4. 5. And 6. All right. That brings us back to the beginning. Now we're going to increase from these 6 stitches to 9 stitches. And we do that exactly the same, using the same math that we do when we're increasing, when we're working in the round on a cinch circle. So it's no different. You've got 6 stitches, you want to move to 9. So you're going to single crochet twice into the first stitch, or the next stitch. 1, 2, 1 into the next, 3, 2 into the next stitch, 4, 5, 1 into the next stitch, 6, 2 into the next, 7, 8, and 1 into the last, 9. Now you're just going to single crochet into each one around, and you know what? We're going to start by making sure you've got you should have 2 rows. So if your little start point back here doesn't look like 2 complete rows, then single crochet into a few stitches before, just so it does. So now we've got 1, 2, 1, 2. So now you're going to crochet 9 all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And if you want to put in one more just to sort of even it up, 10, and there's your neck. So you're going to slip stitch into the next stitch just to finish it off. You're going to cut a really long length, so like maybe 1.5 feet. You're going to fasten off. You're going to grab your yarn needle, and we're going to sew this neck, the bigger side of the neck, so the 9-stitch side versus the 6-stitch side. We're going to sew the 9-stitch side, the larger side, to the body of our dinosaur. And you do that by lining it up on top of the body. And kind of put it right on top. And just pick up the stitches from the body and pick up the corresponding stitch on the neck. So once you get a few stitches in, it'll be a little easier to manage it. Just take your time. You want to go around in a nice circle. Here's the next one. There you go. And just sort of look at what you're doing as you go. Like just kind of keep placing it. And this is where you can do a little what they call fussy work or cheating. You can just sort of make sure that you put those stitches exactly where you can manipulate your neck to sit up nice and centered on it. See, now I've got a few stitches in. It's a little easier to manage. And we're just going to keep going. Now, we're going to stuff this, just a little bit of stuffing, because you want your neck to be kind of stiff. We're going to stuff it from the top once we've got it sewn down to the body. That's going to make it a little easier to manage. And just come around the other side now. Oh, this just cracks me up. All right. And one more. All right. Okay. Now, once you've got your neck sewn down to the top of your dragon body, I keep calling them a dragon. I guess dinosaurs and dragons kind of look the same in my mind. You're going to put your hook up through the center of the neck, or I should say your yarn needle, and you're going to leave your thread nice and long because this is what you're going to sew your head down with. So I'm going to just stick it out the end of one of these stitches just so it's on the outside of the neck, right? Ready to sew. And I'm going to put a little stuffing in there. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of stuffing and just stuff it in with my baby finger. Just enough that it'll keep the neck kind of stiff so that the head doesn't flop all over the place. Unless you want your dinosaur to have a floppy neck, because that in itself can be kind of cute and comical. There we go. And once you've got enough stuffing in it, grab your head and decide where you're going to put it. Now you want to, if this is the bottom of my head, you want the neck to sit kind of on the sort of just in from the back of the head, like right there. You don't want it to be like this. You don't want it to be like too close to the face. You want it to be like, you want the back of the head to sort of just like your own head does. Your head comes up off your neck, and then there's a bit of a back of your skull, and the majority of your face is forward. So this is what's going to make it look a little more like a dinosaur. And once you decide kind of where you want that, you just continue sewing. So you pick up a few stitches on the bottom side of your dinosaur head. And this is a little finicky because so if you have to get your knees involved here, then go ahead. But you just pick it up all the way around. Keep kind of looking at it and making sure that you're putting your stitches where you want. Just take your time. Yep, so far so good. Don't forget, you can kind of cheat a little bit. I mean, this is a stuffed toy after all, so if it's going to be played with, you want to make sure that anything you sew down is good and solid. So you just pick up any stitches you feel make it solid. And look at it a couple times. Yep. Maybe put a few more stitches in just to make it go. Yep, okay. So, once you figure your neck and your head are well connected, just knot it off. And just put a tiny little knot in, weave in your yarn, and we'll move on to the arms. And don't worry, he's going to get a face. Alright, I'm just going to weave this in a little bit. Alright, and I'm just going to bury this in the rest of the body. Somewhere. There. Good. Don't need that, so let's snip it. Alright, now he already sits up. You know what? Let's do the tail. Before we do the arms, let's just quickly do the tail. And we'll put him to the side. Now, tail, same thing. You want your regular hook. You want your body color. And the tail is made similarly to the neck. So this is probably similar to the neck, but it starts with a cinch circle. So we're kind of making a pinched cone. So you're going to start with a cinch circle. And once you've got your cinch circle made, instead of 6, we're going to put 4 single crochets into this. So this is going to work kind of small, so just be patient with it. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So once you've got your 4 single crochets into your cinch circle, cinch it shut, and you're going to single crochet into each one around. So this is, when you work in a 4 single crochet cinch circle, it's a little tricky. So just be patient, take your time. So you're going to single crochet into each of those 4 all the way around. And it's a little tight, but you can do it. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's gonna, and just pinch it a bit so that the bottom part moves out a bit. Now we're going to expand from 4 to 6. So we're going to go 2 single crochets into the next stitch. So get a little firm hold on it. Identify your next stitch, and you're going to single crochet 1 and 2 into it. 1 into the next stitch. It's going to get a little easier from here on out. 2 into the next stitch. Get that out of the way. 1, 2, and 1 into the next stitch. So that makes us 6 stitches. I'm going to take this tail and just cram it into the bottom of the tail. It's going to act like a little bit of extra stuffing for me since it's difficult to stuff that tiny little end. Now we're going to single crochet into each of the 6 stitches all the way around. So just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to do one more increased row. So from 6, we're going to go to 9. So we single crochet twice into the next stitch. 1, 2, once into the next stitch. 3, twice into the next stitch. 4, 5, once into the next. 6, twice into the next stitch. 7, 8, and once into the last stitch. That gives us 9. All right, we're going to do a single row of single crochet all the way around. So just count 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now before you finish off, just consult with your tail. If you can identify where your first row turns into your second, you can single crochet around to line that up. And I'm going to do that just so that it makes my tail a little flatter. So I'm going to actually single crochet 5 more stitches. And if you were single crocheting along with me, you might want to do the same thing. 4 and 5. And you can see how that kind of evens up both sides if you pinch it together. That is it for the tail. So you slip stitch into the next stitch and cut yourself a length long enough that you can sew it to the body with. So say 6 inches. And just fasten off. Pull it nice and tight. And we're going to put a little bit of stuffing in here. Not too much, but not too little. You kind of don't want the tail to be floppy. You want it to be stiff, because when you go about sewing the little these little things, these little spikes down. You want it to also act like a tripod so that he sits nice and flat. And once you've got your stuffing rammed in there, get your yarn needle, thread up your tail, grab your little dinosaur, and you're going to take that tail and align it right in the lower back area of his body so that it sits sort of flush with the ground. And just line it up. Try to hold it in place. And sew it down. And just take your time. Make sure you sort of stand back and look at your work every couple of stitches so that you make sure it's still going on in the right place. And once you get a few stitches down, it'll probably be a little easier to manage. And a couple more stitches. Okay, coming around the back side. All right, and once you've got the tail on, just make sure you knot it in a good place. And then make that nice and tight. And then just weave it in. So grab some stitches, and I'm just going to put mine up one of the previous rows. And that is the tail. All right. Okie dokie. So now our little guy has his tail on. He's got his feet on. He's got his neck and his head on. Now all he needs are a couple of useless little Tyrannosaurus Rex arms. And I purposely went with that because I love how useless and cute they are. Adds to the comedic effect. All right, the arms, also done with your main hook and your main yarn. You're going to treat these arms a bit like the neck. So instead of starting with a cinch, you're just going to chain. Let me check my notes here. Where'd it go? Arms. There it is. Okay, we're going to chain 5. So you make your slip stitch, and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's a 5 chain. Careful not to twist it. You're going to single crochet into the first chain and in each one all the way around for a total of 5. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and oops, there's a knot in my yarn. What? Get out. How dare you? How the heck did that happen? Right. Everybody? Weird. Okay, and 5. Let's see, where was I? Here it is, right here. Okay, that is a chain of 5, a single crochet into each one for 5. You're going to do 2 more rows for a total of 3 rows. So just single crochet all the way around. 1, 2, 3. It's a little tricky, so take your time. 4, 5. That's 2 rows and 1 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And just check it to make sure that you've got enough. Let's see, you know what, I'm going to put in 1 more, just so it looks even. There we go. Yep. Now, here's where the fun part starts. We're going to go right ahead and make his 3 little fingers. Okay. So we're going to make the finger. From this point, we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So without twisting or spinning your work around, you're going to single crochet back down the 3 from the hook. So instead of into the second one from the hook, the 3rd and the 4th, you're going to slip stitch. So you go 1, 2, and 3. You're going to take your arm, you're going to sort of squeeze it together, and you're going to insert your hook into the next 2 stitches. So basically the next stitch from where you came down, and then directly across into the one on the opposite side of the arm. So it doesn't have to be super fine, science. You're not going to stuff this or anything, it doesn't matter. So just slip stitch back through both of those stitches, and you're going to chain 4 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to slip stitch back into the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th from the hook. 1, 2, 3, and into the last set of stitches, or the edge of that arm, you're just going to insert your hook through whatever you can find there. Grab your yarn, pull it back through everything, and then chain 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, and slip stitch back through the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th chains from the hook. 1, 2, 3, into that same area that you slip stitched before, so the edge of the arm edge. Just slip stitch 1 more time, and just chain 1. Cut a length of about 4 inches, and just fasten off. Pull it tight, and you've got a little baby Tyrannosaurus Rex arm with fingers. So go ahead and make a second one of those. I've already done that. And we're going to affix them to the body of the dinosaur. So bring our dinosaur back, grab our yarn needle, grab one arm or the other, just thread up your tail, and you're going to decide where you want your arms to be. Now I'm going to put mine right at the base of the neck, kind of like where the shoulders sort of sit, and just pick up a couple of stitches right at the bottom there. There is no serious fine science to that. Just run a few stitches through the body of the dinosaur and the end of your arm, just so that it's down but not too tight. And once you've run a couple of stitches through it, bring your needle out through the center back of your dinosaur, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side, and we're going to bring that end string back through the same hole, knot it, and then weave it in. So that just kind of makes the arms nice and solid. So we're going to do the other arm. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, you want to take your tail and just pull it up through the center of your arm so that it comes out the end. That probably was a good thing to mention. Just identify your shoulder. Try to make sure that it's like right opposite your dragon from the other arm. Dinosaur dragon. Maybe because he's orange, I'm thinking dragon. And just sew him down. Nice and tight. And when you're finished sewing, bring that tail out the back through the same hole that you brought the other one back through. Knot the two of them together. And always knot things twice, because once is never enough. There we go. And just weave it in. So, our little guy's got his legs on. He's got his arms and his fingers on. He's got his head, his neck, his tail. Now I think would be a good idea to give him a face. So this is a really simple thing to do. You want to grab your beads. Now I wasn't sure when I started this if I was going to give him blue eyes or if I was going to give him black eyes. And I think he might look kind of cute with either set. No, I'm going to go with the black. So, black eyes, I'm going to cut some embroidery floss, also black, and just enough that I can sew them both down. I'm going to grab my embroidery floss needle. It's a shorter needle. Now, if you only have like this one at your disposal, just use that one. It's just if you've got a shorter one, it just makes it a little easier to manage, but either one is fine. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my needle in so that it goes in one side and out the other, roughly where I think I want my two eyes to sit. I'm going to put one eye on, and I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail out here because I'm going to knot it together with that. I'm going to thread my needle back through the other side. And I'm going to put the other eye on. And then I'm going to go back and forth through this dinosaur face, weaving it in, and each time I do it, I'm going to pull it just a little bit tighter, and that's going to pinch his little face together, giving him a bit of a brow and a nose bone. And that's kind of what makes him almost sudden look like a dinosaur versus a little creature with like an egg-shaped head. And you want to just go back and forth a couple times to make sure those eyes are in there nice and tight and they're not going to fall off or get pulled off by little fingers or maybe the family dog, whoever gets to this little guy first. And once you've done that, you want to tie your two ends together. There we go. And we're just going to thread this right back down inside the head of the dinosaur. So I'm going to try and get both my ends in there. And I'm just going to pull it through. There we go. Just weave that in. Great. Now, his little face, he's got a couple of eyes. And always make sure you secure your sharp needles. You don't want them on the floor. Okay, let's give this guy some cheeks. So in order to make a cheek, a little rosy cheek, we're going to make a cinch circle. And with our smaller hook, we're going to single crochet 4 into that circle. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And cinch it tight. You're going to slip stitch into the next stitch in the circle and fasten off. And you're going to leave a little string to sew it on with. I'm actually going to clip this because this got to be a little longer than it needed to be. That's probably long enough. And you want to make 2 of those. So I've already made my 2. And you're going to put them aside while you put the mouth on your little dinosaur. So the easiest way to do this is to cut a length of your mouth color. And by length, I'd say maybe about a foot, a little over a foot. Thread your yarn needle. Take your dinosaur. And I'm gonna do a little mouth. So I'm gonna go up through the bottom of the head. I'm gonna come out about here, where I want my mouth to end. I'm going to leave a tail. I'm going to hold my thumb down where I want my mouth to sort of sit. I'm going to go back in on the other side. And I'm going to come out about 3/4 of the way back. Okay. Right? Yeah. And in order to, come here you, in order to anchor it, I'm going to do this tiny little, I'm going to kind of come in and go out. And it's like I'm just putting a little anchor in so that it, and then I'll come back out the bottom. And you can do 2, you can do 3, 4, however many you want, and it just kind of gives you a simple straight line smile as opposed to anything sort of thick. Tie those 2 ends together. And chop off anything excessive. And then just poke it into the bottom of the head of your dinosaur and weave in the ends. There we go. And once your mouth's on, that'll give you a good idea about where you should put your cheeks. So, for example, oh my gosh, you're so cute. You grab one of your cheeks and you grab your yarn needle, thread up your tail, and place it on your dinosaur face where you want it and just sew it down. Careful not to mess up your smile. But you kind of want to overlap the cheek with the smile, just so that the smile looks like it ends in the cheeks. So the cheeks kind of operate like dimples too. And once you're finished sewing that down, put one more in here. Same thing you did with the smile. Come out somewhere in the bottom of the head. And you're going to knot your 2 cheeks together that way. So you grab your other cheek, thread it up, make sure you've got the top part facing up, and place that cheek down somewhere that looks like it's balanced. And sew cheek number 2 on. Keep looking at it, make sure it's equal. Same thing, careful to make sure it just slightly overlaps the end of your smile. And once you've got that where you want it, there you go. Smiles. Knot those two ends together. Go and poke that in and weave that into your dinosaur head. There we go. All right, this guy's almost done. All he needs now is his spikes, and we're going to do that with the slightly smaller hook. Or if you're dealing with a slightly thicker yarn, or your yarn's about the same size as the original one, you can stay with your bigger hook. It's up to you. So I'm going to just use the slightly smaller hook because this feels just a little bit skinnier. And we're going to chain 31. So the spike is done in one long string and then it's sewn on. So we're going to chain 31. You start with a slip stitch. And you chain 31. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. All right, now there's a bit of a pattern to this. You're going to hold your chained length nice and flat, and without twisting, we're going to work back across it as a foundation row, just like you would if you were starting an afghan or any other kind of flat straight work. So we're going to slip stitch into the second chain from the hook. So into this one here, we're going to slip stitch. Into the next chain, we're going to half double crochet. So you wrap your yarn around your hook, go through the stitch, grab the yarn and pull it back so that you have 3 loops on your hook, wrap your yarn and go through all 3. That's a half double crochet. Into the next stitch, we're going to do something special. We're going to do a double crochet. So you wrap your yarn around your hook, you go through that stitch, grab your yarn and bring it back, wrap and go through 2, wrap and go through the other 2, chain 1, and into the same stitch we just put that double crochet into, we're going to double crochet into it again. So you wrap your yarn around your hook, go through that stitch, grab your yarn and bring it back, wrap and go through 2 loops, wrap and go through 2 loops. Into the next chain, we're going to half double crochet again. So that's wrap, through the stitch, grab the yarn and bring it back so you have 3 loops on your hook, wrap, go through all 3, and then into the next stitch we're going to slip stitch. So we slip stitch, and that creates one of his fins. So you're going to repeat that process all the way along this chain. So you slip stitch into the next one, half double crochet into the next stitch. Into the next stitch you go double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So all into that one chain. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, half double crochet into the next stitch, and slip stitch into the next stitch. All right, there you go, there's 2. And you just keep repeating this process of slip stitch, half double crochet, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Remember that one all goes into 1 stitch. Half double crochet, slip stitch, slip stitch, half double crochet, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all into that same stitch, half double crochet, slip stitch. Again, slip stitch, half double crochet, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into that same double crochet stitch, half double crochet, slip stitch. Now as you get to the end, you're not going to have necessarily all of the change that you need, but that's okay because this is going to cause the rounding effect at the top of his head. So you're going to slip stitch into the next one, half double into the next stitch, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, half double, and slip. Now if that works out perfectly for you, great. If for some reason it doesn't quite, you just finish the entire motif into, like, cram it into however many stitches are left. Chances are though it'll work out exactly perfectly for you. So you have this little ripple effect. Now you're going to cut a long length, like 1.5 feet. You're going to fasten it off. And you're going to sew this down the back of your little dragon or dinosaur with your yarn needle. Now, you can do this one of 2 ways. You can start at the edge of the tail and work your way up. So in that way you take the end, start down here, and start sewing it all the way up the back, and then wherever it ends, it ends. Or you can start at the top if maybe you want more of the spike at the top of his head as opposed to the end of his tail. You do it however you want. When I did Periwinkle, I started up at the top of his head and I just sort of laid it down to make sure it would end at the end of his tail. So he works out pretty well. If you start somewhere near the sort of the crown of the head, it'll fit right down to the end of the tail. And you can stretch it as you, or bunch it up as you go. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the end of the tail this time. Why not? See how differently this works out. So you thread your yarn needle, you grab your end, you grab your starting point. Remember, you want to stay pretty much in the middle of your little guy. And you sew it in place. You're going to sew through the chain row all the way up, and you can just keep sort of pausing and placing it and making sure that you put it right up the middle. And the more of these stitches you put down, obviously, the easier it's going to be to maneuver this guy. Oops. Okay. So I'm just finishing up here. Keeping careful attention to make sure it stays in the middle of her back and her head. And yes, it's a she. I mean, she kind of has to be, what, with this fantastic pink mohawk running up the length of her back. And just gonna, this really worked out well. This one worked out perfectly, actually. This comes right up to her forehead, right from the tip of her tail. So you just, oh my goodness. You are so cute. Okay, so once you've got it sort of pinned down, you just want to knot it. Maybe go through that last stitch one more time. And just make a little knot. And weave it back down through the head. All right, and one more little string. I'm just going to bury that in the tail. Done. Oh my goodness. And there you have it. Periwinkle and Orange Blossom. Periwinkle and Orange Blossom. A couple of super adorable dinosaurs. And, as an added bonus, they're fully jointed. Okay guys, so there you have it. Dinosaurs! How great is that? I'd like to thank Bethany, who's one of my subscribers, for suggesting that we do a dinosaur. Bethany, I hope that's an easy enough pattern for you. I tried to make it in simple shapes, just so if we sewed it all together, it would look like a dinosaur as opposed to doing it in one great big piece. I love your suggestions, guys. Keep them coming. Every single one I consider, and I certainly think about how best to do them. Somebody else just suggested a tree, so stay tuned and we'll stitch up some trees together next time. Thank you so much, guys. Stay with me. This crafty adventure is way, way, way far to go yet. And we'll talk to you really soon. Bye. Bye.